Hello, Haniacs. Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick trigger warning for rape, sexual assault, and death threats. If that's something that triggers you, please proceed with caution. Today's guest is Jess Elgene. She's a New York City comedian. In 2014, when Jess was in college, a former partner and classmate accused her of rape. Jess was found unanimously not in violation by her university in the subsequent Title IX appeal. For the last 12 years, that allegation has continued to follow her as she comes up in the comedy world. Last year, it resurfaced very publicly for the first time, prompting her to have a downward spiral and posting a lot of it on social media. I didn't know Jess personally at the time, but I was following along. I reached out to her a few weeks ago and asked if she would want to come on the podcast and tell her side of the story. This episode, Jess is telling what happened in college, what her social media breakdown was about, and what she wishes she did differently. I'm not making any claims about what did or what didn't happen. Please listen to this episode with an open mind and please be kind. Thank you.
Hi. Wait, can you talk for a sec? Last night I got literally heinous. Literally heinous with Lily Maslia.
Welcome to Literally Heinous. Welcome back. Welcome if it's your first time. We have a very special guest on. We have Jess Elgene on the podcast today. And hello, Jess.
Hi.
So excited to be talking to you. Jess has been kind of a fixture in the New York City comedy community for a pretty long time.
Thanks for saying that.
You are so welcome. Well, how's your weekend going? Or it's the start of your weekend.
It's just getting started. Yeah. So far, so good.
Yeah.
I had therapy this morning and took my dog out to the dog park. So vibes are good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So your dog's name is Buddy.
My dog's name is Buddy. Yeah.
Which is like a really classic name. You're sticking to the classics.
He came with the name, actually. He's a foster fail from 2020. Yeah, it suits him really well. So Buddy is my guy.
And you didn't want to change it?
No, he was already 4 when I got him, so he was like used to the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have changed it, but it fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're at the dog parks a lot, and there's some dog drama.
Yeah, oh, that's true. There was some drama recently. Yeah, this guy, I mean, it's whatever. I don't really care, but this guy had his large dog in the small dog section, and his large dog started basically playing a little too rough with this like miniature like dachshund, like a 5 or fewer pound dog, and this woman like worked up the courage to be like, hey, your dog really shouldn't be in the small, like she didn't want to be a Karen, but I felt her working up the courage to do it. And then the guy didn't take the dog out. It was like, I feel like the move is just cut your losses and leave the dog park. And but he just kind of was like, well, the dog's only 5 months. And it's like, that has nothing to do with literally anything, actually. I felt called to step in, and I was like, hey, dude, I think you know you're being a jerk, right?
Wow.
I was like, you're being a little adversarial here. And he was just like, no, what are you talking about?
If someone confronts me about literally anything, I will change everything about myself to please them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
no, I would leave in a second if someone...
I would move apartments.
Yeah.
Like, you would never see me again.
Oh, I'd feel terrible. Yeah. So it was crazy to see this guy just like stand his ground. It was maybe a little inspiring.
Have you ever confronted anyone for not picking up dog poop?
No, I have been in the unfortunate situation where you don't have a bag my share of times, and I like to give the people the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a hero, and I sometimes have picked up strangers' dog poop that gets left. Like if I have a dog bag with me, I'll just go for it.
That's really nice of you.
Thanks.
I have heard that from dog owners, and like not having a dog bag, like it happens.
It happens, yeah, because you run out, and also we're all depressed. That's why we got dogs, and so we're to remember to put the dog bags back, like to refill the dog bag thing. And that requires an amount of wellness that I just don't have sometimes.
I don't have sympathy for that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And I don't have sympathy for dog owners. I'm kind of like a dog hater a little bit.
Well, that's crazy.
I'm sure there are some dogs that I like. I would like Buddy for sure, because I like dogs with like a small stature. Like that's my kind of dog.
Yeah.
But the dog owners in New York City fuel my hatred for like dog culture in general.
That's fair. You think they think they're better than everybody else?
Well, they leave poop everywhere. I have confronted 2 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One time This was kind of a risk, and I was drunk walking home, and I was on my street, like I was almost at my apartment, and there was this huge guy with like a huge dog, and it was like late at night who didn't pick it up, and there were like two girls behind me, like I could feel people behind me. So I was like, I'm gonna say something. These girls will protect me. No, they wouldn't have.
Wow.
And so I said something to him. I was like, your dog went to the bathroom. Do you have a bag? And he was like, no. Do you have a bag? And I was like, no. And he was like, go home. And then I was like, all right, I'm not about to like get in a fight here. Like,
Yeah, no. Wow. Go home is crazy.
I know.
Wow.
He told me to go home, and I was like, well, I will.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
my home is right there.
You're like, I was already on my way.
So there was that time. And then there's another time at Maria Hernandez Park, and it was a guy, and he was like kind of pretending he didn't see it. And I was like, your dog went to the bathroom.
Wow, I love that you say your dog went to the bathroom. That's so sweet.
It's polite because I don't know. I'm kind of like, what do I say? Your dog pooped?
I think that is what you say. Weirdly, I think it's the right word when you're talking about cats and dogs.
I don't know. It just feels kind of like
Crass.
it does feel crass. I'm like kind of a Southern girl. Like I am always like, I never want to be crass.
No,
Or
totally.
be crude. So I mean, you're a Southern girl, you know.
Yeah.
But Texas doesn't really count.
It's its own thing.
It is its own thing. So yeah, I said that, and he was like, oh, did it, and I like was looking around for bags, and I was like, all right, fuck this guy. So
Wow.
I would only ever say it to a man though,
Oh, okay.
because
That's great.
I'm afraid of women.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So I would never say it to a woman, but I will say it to a man.
Cool. Good for you. What happens when a non-binary person has this experience in front of you?
Ooh, if a non-binary person,
I don't think you'd have an issue
I don't think
speaking up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of feel like non-binary people are like good citizens of community. Like they're more likely to be like aware of their surroundings and like uphold the environment.
Wow, that's really nice.
I'm an ally, but I really do believe that.
Awesome. There's such a broad spectrum of people.
Yeah. Everyone weigh in. Now I'm like really interested to hear what other people have to
Just
say.
everybody try to pick up your dog's bathroom stuff.
Totally. Okay, so let's get into it. So you've had kind of a crazy year.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, it's like I've like kept my day job, which I can't talk about too much, but I've kept my day job. I've kept taking my dog out on walks and all this, all the stuff, and life has like gone back to normal, except in that like I don't know. I haven't like repositioned myself in like the community and the like place that I was, but like the day to day is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're good overall.
Yeah.
Let's get into why we're here today.
Totally.
So in 2014, a former romantic partner and classmate accused you of rape when you were in college at Texas Christian University.
Yeah.
And while that was handled in 2014, early 2015, it resurfaced last year in a really public way. This person posted her 9-slide account of what happened, which resulted in a lot of online discourse as you and her both separately came up in the comedy scene in different cities, but peers nonetheless. And that resulted in pretty severe crash out, and life as you knew it crumbled. So that was a full year ago.
A full year ago, yeah.
And as someone that kind of watched it happen, I didn't know you at the time. It was hard to watch, like the fallout of it, and then your social media crash out. It was a hard watch. It really was. And I appreciate you for your vulnerability and coming on Literally Heinous to talk about it and sharing your story with me. So if you can just walk me through who this person was to you and how you met.
Yeah. So this person was like an upperclassman at TCU who was one of the leaders of this organization called Loose Ends, which basically was like the student-run improv class that happened every Tuesday, and I went to take it. And so this person like taught me. It was like a student teacher position. It wasn't, like a professor or anything like that. But yeah, it was just this person who did stand up and improv and was like super funny and was on the like super popular improv team. Yeah, she and her boyfriend at the time like took me to my birthday dinner on my birthday and stuff. We were like fast friends. And then she and that boyfriend broke up in January of my freshman year. And, she sent me a text that was like the letter with a bunch of heart emojis or whatever, like the envelope with whatever. And she was like, it's a letter, basically like, come kiss me or whatever. Like it was like, and yeah, she was someone who was like discouraged from being in a relationship with someone who was like a loose ender, a potential like future member of the big improv team.
Because you were a potential future member.
Yeah, yeah. And the team's called SAC, or Senseless Acts of Comedy, and they were like as popular as you could possibly get on campus. Like my freshman year, they were like such like the top dogs. And yeah, so we started this kind of on again, off again thing because she kept, getting anxious about like, oh, I'm not supposed to hook up with potential future members. Like I'll get in trouble with my team and all that. And it made me feel kind of like this mistress because I would wake up and wonder if I was in a relationship or not. And I definitely put this person on a pedestal. I was like, you're this person's name. Like I was like, you're a legend. Like it's so cool that you're interested in me. And so I like really fell hard for this person. And then in the summer after my freshman year, that's when we both stayed in town for different stuff. I was doing a play, and I think she had an internship. And then like the rest of the members of the improv team weren't around to kind of like police her. And so we started developing a more serious relationship. We were saying, I love you. Like I met her mom, like she met my parents. Like it felt like we were headed in the direction of like real love. But then sure enough, sophomore year rolled around and all of the kind of watchdogs came back, and she was like, we can't do this anymore. And yeah, that's when I definitely crashed out hard at that time, because I felt like I thought you loved me. Like I thought, we were in this real relationship, and I felt terrible, and I was like emotionally immature about that breakup. Then we just sort of like didn't speak for a little while.
What
Yeah.
did you audition to be in the group?
Yeah. So auditions happen every semester. Yeah, and I had like a final audition my first semester, and then right before summer of my freshman year, I had an audition, and the two presidents were like, Jess, your audition was great. It was amazing. We, want you to keep working on it, and we feel like you could be a heavy hitter come next year.
The like politics of college improv is just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's literally improv.
And yet
I digress. But
yeah.
I understand like the weight of these things.
Oh, yeah.
It's just now looking back, being like 28, looking at it, and I'm like, guys, it's improv.
Yeah.
It's college improv. Everyone
yeah.
can play.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. Yeah.
But I get it. I really do.
Yeah. It was like the stakes could not have been higher. And yeah. So yeah, like fall. I mean, yeah, we can get it super into the weeds, but basically, we didn't engage with one another really again until like December of my sophomore year, when the secretary of the Student Filmmakers Association position, no one signed up to run. And so they were like, hey, if anyone wants to get up and run for this exec position, go ahead and do it. And she and I both ended up running, and her speech was very like kind of self inflicting. Like it was funny, but she was just like, I've been on exec twice before and I messed both of those times up, so third time's a charm. And my speech was like a little bit more genuine, and I was like, I'll try really hard to do a good job for you guys. Like I really like this organization. And so I won the election. But then just a few minutes after that, apparently as I was leaving, she goes, and this is before I transitioned, he's a rapist, which was the first time me or any of my colleagues had ever heard that, like just a few minutes after this election. And then there was like a yik yak that was posted about me that was like, ladies beware, Jess Elgene is a rapist.
And who did she say that to?
Well, she said it to Jeremy Culhane and some others. Yeah, he was in town visiting.
So,
he had
but
just graduated.
said to the whole team.
I think, yeah, to like a small group of people at the Student Filmmakers Association meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think I was just that was also like a word that kind of got thrown around back then, and it was also so
Yeah.
incomprehensible to me. Like it was so hard to wrap my head around just even the word, and so I didn't take just the yik yak seriously, and in that I didn't understand it really to be like fully like a claim that was really being made.
This was pre Me Too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, I think, it's so interesting to me, like when we think about how much things have changed in a really positive way too. I feel like a lot of times society, like we don't give it credit, like how far we've come since like 2014. Like it was different. I remember like being in high school and middle school when just throwing around the word rapist was like funny.
Yeah.
And people would just say it.
Right. Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Yeah. And then basically like a week went by and it was like right before finals. The auditions for the improv team were always the Saturday before finals. And so I met up with the presidents to be like, hey, I would still love to audition for this team. I think you guys are so cool. Like, I'd love to give it my all. And they were like, all right, well, we'll have, the person who accused me go first, and then we'll text you that and let you come audition so that you guys don't have to like be in a room together. And it's like, in hindsight, how would we ever have been on a team together? But I was just so grateful that they let me audition. But I think that they were like, we're going to see her tonight at a party. And that was on Friday.
But she was already on the team, right?
Yeah. But anyone who's not the president has to re-audition. It's mostly a formality, but yeah, that was the rule.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
at Texas Christian University?
I know it's cutthroat. Texas Cutthroat University, honestly.
Cutthroat University.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so Texas though, because everything's bigger in Texas.
It's true.
And it's like even these fucking improv teams are crazy.
Yeah, it's intense. Yeah, and so
crazy.
I got a call from Campus Life and TCU Police, two separate calls, to like come talk about this student code of like this misconduct that's been flagged. That was like the Tuesday after the audition, and then so I put out like my statement, like kind of just like walking through my relationship with this person, and then a bunch of text messages and things to kind of like corroborate everything. And it was, no biggie, but it was 7 pages single spaced and 42 pages of screenshots and stuff. Like I really like wanted to be thorough about this thing, and I guess this is the thing that that I haven't like been able to like talk about really, which is just that when you're accused of something like that, like you do have to take it upon yourself to like take inventory of who you are and like what you've done and what you've been, and in that investigation of myself, like I genuinely don't find any like wrongdoing in the form of sexual violence. I definitely find like some emotional immaturity and some areas for opportunity, but when it's as binary as did you sexually assault someone or no, it's just no, were we both really emotionally immature? I think, yeah, like should either of us have been in a sexual relationship with someone else? Probably not. And so anyway, we had all of winter break, and I was actually preparing. I that semester was taking a stage makeup class for my theater degree. And so I was like getting good at makeup and stuff, and I was kind of entrusting more people with my gender identity and that I wanted to transition. And I was preparing to like come out to my family that winter break, and then this stuff happened, and it was like, okay, let's have one major life moment per winter break. And so I kind of like went back into the closet a little bit, and then at the end of January, we actually had our like hearing, and I was found not in violation. And then there was an appeal to Title IX. They reviewed everything, and I was found not in violation. And yeah.
After the improv audition, so you auditioned for that. I just want to make sure that I understand everything.
Yeah.
The following Tuesday, you heard from Campus Police and Campus Life saying we've been made aware that you've been accused of sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
And then you sent your 7-page statement, 42 pieces of screenshots, text.
Yeah.
and then you had the hearing.
Yeah.
And then all while you were kind of contemplating transitioning. And
Yeah.
forgive me for any like not understanding like transitioning and like
No, you're great.
the Haniacs. We always love to learn new things.
Absolutely.
Was your transition like, when did you first think that you wanted to transition?
Yeah. I have a song called Katarina that's kind of about this, which is like my earliest childhood memory is when I was home alone. Like my mom was watching me, and I went up to my sister's room. She's 10 years older than me, and I like put on one of her dresses and some makeup and stuff. And so I've kind of like been, I don't know, just drawn to like femininity since I was a little kid. I first kind of like put some language to it when I was around 14. I came out to my mom. I was in ninth grade, and um, it was basically like, I want to be a girl. Like there's a word for it. It's transgender. Like I can take hormone blockers and take estrogen. Like I'm like pretty impressed by my younger self. I kind of like wish I could be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
What'd your
But
mom say?
she was basically, the only like really thing of substance that she said was, well, you'd be a tall girl, which is true. But now every time I see a tall girl in the wild, I have this like Pavlovian, reaction. Like, see, not mutually exclusive. But yeah, she like just kind of never brought it up again, and I think thought maybe she had prayed away the gay. And when I kept dating girls, she was like, "Oh, okay, good," because nobody told her about lesbians.
Wait, it was good that you were dating girls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I literally forgot the whole like.
Oh, that's great.
Of
That's awesome.
I'm so stupid.
No.
Okay.
That's actually epic.
When I meet someone as a trans person, my brain can't formulate like what they were before, if that
Right.
makes sense.
I don't know why. I just can't help but respect people profoundly to the core. That's awesome. Wow. You have a great problem.
Okay, yeah. So you were dating girls, which was good in her eyes because it meant that you were straight.
Right. At the time. Yeah. And now it's like pretty much a conundrum any way you slice it. If I date girls, if I date guys, it's like there's something gay about it, no matter what.
No matter which way you slice it.
Yeah. It's something a little fruity, yeah.
Okay, so there were inklings of that, and then you were kind of able to like shove it in high school, kind of comes back in college with your stage makeup, and then during winter break, you were still in the like, and this hearing was going, this crazy fucking thing was happening. So you're like, let me not like double traumatize myself.
Yeah, and I also kind of know the public perception of trans people. So like if I were early transition and going all in and like showed up in a sundress to my campus hearing, it's like, okay, that like I know how people perceive trans people, especially early transition trans people.
Texas.
Yeah.
So you have the hearing early January.
Yeah.
You are found unanimously innocent.
Correct.
She appeals to Title IX. Title IX finds you innocent.
That's right. Yeah.
So with the proceeding, in her statement, she mentioned that she and two other people came forward.
Yeah.
What did that mean?
Yeah. So I understood those two people to be character witnesses, which we were advised not to bring because it's not like substantive to like the actual claims. And it was, this person's twin sibling that she lived with, and who basically just like made fun of me for being a hopeless romantic and said that she'd never liked me. And then this other classmate of mine, who was also like a new initiate of the improv team, who just kind of talked about how I used to like write sappy love songs on ukulele about this person, and it's like I'm guilty of being a loser, sure, maybe a dweeb, but I'm not being accused of being a dweeby loser, and yeah, just basically it was just like two kind of character attacks, and I mean that's how I understood those things to be, yeah.
When you go back to the relationship and the timeline that she was referring to, y'all's only like romantic was just that one summer.
Yeah. It only became like, sexual that summer. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you take accountability for certain aspects of emotional immaturity. If you could elaborate on like what you will take accountability for.
Yeah, I think I was like much too quick to like profess love to a potential partner. So like I definitely would have fallen into the category of someone who like love bombed, you know. I think that I just should have not been entering a relationship that intense at that age. Yeah.
Okay. And then in a quick summary, so you mentioned the 42 pieces of evidence of screenshots. What do you think was the most compelling piece that brought you your innocence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like, you know, kind of crass, but some of the text messages refer back to, you know, some of the consensual sexual experiences that we had, you know, like referring to them sort of in detail. And I think like the enthusiastic consent like represented in the
From her.
in the texts, and that this also reflected from the text, you know, like referring back to experiences and things. Yeah. And it just, I think, colors the context of the relationship in a much more thorough way than the other statements kind of did.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the trial ended. You were found innocent. Obviously, you didn't make it on the improv team.
Right.
And then how did things resolve with the student film club?
Well, it was kind of uncomfortable. I was sort of on like a temporary leave situation, but I never felt really comfortable going back because I just was like, well, at least like half of this room thinks that I'm, you know, like a violent sexual criminal. I don't feel comfortable being in that environment. And so I kind of explored new opportunities, and I was actually going to study abroad in London the following semester, but then I felt unsafe kind of letting my accuser just have, you know, kind of unfettered access to everyone for an entire semester to spread kind of misinformation. And so I backed out of studying abroad and took kind of a chance on myself. And TCU was doing a co-production with a professional theater, and I there was a role that I liked in it, and I was like, maybe I could make my professional theater debut, and also heard about this new fraternity that was coming to campus. I could be a founding member of this fraternity. And like all of that stuff actually like came true. Like that, I made my professional stage debut that semester, and was a founding member of Sigma Nu at TCU, and got a lot out of it. I definitely like dug myself deeper into the closet in terms of my gender, but I am proud of myself for like moving in a positive direction, regardless of it being like different than what I would have probably, you know, subscribed to.
My mom calls that making chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Hey, that's good.
I know, right?
That's really good.
Yeah. So you made chicken salad out of chicken shit.
I did.
You finished up at TCU, and then what since ensued was this thing looming over your head.
Yeah.
And was there ever a point when you thought, like, this chapter is over, never going to see her again, never going to see these people again, like, I get to start fresh?
I think that, like, during times that I thought I was, like, not going to pursue a career in entertainment anymore, I've thought that, like, maybe this whole thing would be put to bed, you know? But I'm pretty adamant about my pursuit of a career in entertainment. Like, it's what I've wanted forever. And so, yeah, it has kind of just been this thing where I've known forever if I find any amount of success, such as being listed in a Deadline article, this thing is going to like resurface. And so I've known about that for like over a decade. And then sure enough, my first Deadline article comes out in July of last year, and that was kind of the final domino.
Let's talk about that. So will you just give a little bit of context? So take us back to last year. Before it all went down, what was your life like? Like, who were you in the comedy scene? How involved were you? Paint the picture of what your life was like before this happened.
Life was really good. I was I think it's fair to say a fixture in the improv and alt comedy scene. I was doing a lot of stand-up on shows. I was very lucky to get a call back for stand-up and characters for Just for Laughs, which is this big festival that's known to like launch a lot of people's careers. And then I actually was selected as one of the new faces of comedy by JFL, which is really exciting. And I had just been named Best Improviser at the Fun and Dumb Improv Festival, which is like the largest improv festival in the world right now.
And that, to me, speaks volumes because that's a peer voted award.
Thanks. Yeah.
So you had that. You were on 2 teams
Yeah,
BCC and UCB. And when we talked, you told me you performed in 250 shows in 2024.
that is true. Yeah, yeah. I was kind of yeah, running myself into the ground. I had kind of a one-track mind, and I also think that this thing. So yeah, it's like been looming over me in this strange way. Like in 2022, I screen tested for SNL, and that was like the thing that like made a lot of people aware of me. And then in 2023, I was cast in a UCB Herald Night, which is like a big improv team. And then I was doing some shows in Los Angeles at the beginning of 2024. And I think it was that I had been on some posters for LA shows. This person who accused me, like, reached out to UCB, or someone did. It was like anonymous, but it's fair to assume, I think. That yeah, this thing was being resurfaced, and it was like basically I had to get on a Zoom with the head of people at UCB and talk about this thing, and then I felt kind of morally obligated to reach out to all the members of my team to be like, hey, I might get kicked off this team or out of the theater altogether. They at the time they gave me 3 potential outcomes. It was a permanent ban, a temporary ban, or a warning. And I kind of I didn't mouth off or anything, but I do remember kind of thinking like, oh, that's interesting that there's no outcome where I am found innocent.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that it just got the can kind of got kicked forever, and that person no longer even works at UCB, and so I never got any closure on that. But it was like jarring, thinking it could happen at any second, like you're done. And yeah, then sure enough, getting JFL was the thing that caused like the thing to finally happen.
Yeah. So you were selected for JFL New Faces last summer.
Yeah.
And for those listening, yeah, as Jess mentioned earlier, Just for Laughs is a big festival that happens every year in Canada, and they do a showcase with new faces. That's like stand-up characters. And if you go through the list of like every past new face, it's all people that become really famous.
It's pretty cool.
And getting it is a huge, huge, huge feat. So you got Just for Laughs New Faces.
Huge honor. Very grateful. Yeah.
Yes.
So 2 days before the deadline article came out, which came out on a Monday, so that Saturday night, I get a phone call from my managers, and they're like, hey, what's this thing that happened in college that we need to hear about? And I was like, oh yeah, like this is something that I don't love talking about, but I'm comfortable talking about. Here's the situation. And then the next day, people from the festival get back to my managers, and basically, they were having their arm twisted, and they were like, we'll guarantee you a spot next year if you want. And I spoke with a really big comedian friend of mine who was basically like, no, you need to do it this year. Like the festival literally was bankrupt in 2024. Like you don't know that it's even going to happen next year. And so I kind of was like, no, I'd really like to do the festival still. Basically the article was going to drop on Monday at noon, and then we got an email saying like, hey, there's a bit of a delay happening right now. And it was clearly that they were dealing with some pushback about including me in the festival, and so it ended up getting dropped at like 1:30. And then I was just really scared because the kind of threat of a social media backlash had already been made, but the actual thing hadn't happened. And so I just was waiting and waiting, and ultimately just so grateful that I still got to do the festival. And then it was like a dream come true of a week. My manager flew in. My partner at the time came with me. It was like kind of a heavenly week. Like it was so fun. My set went great. I met a lot of really cool people. And then the very next day after I got back from the festival, I had just taken a nap, and I rolled over and had a text from an artistic director of a comedy theater that is a friend of mine saying, I just saw the post. How are you holding up? I was like, oh, what post? And that's when I became aware of the original kind of, statement. Yeah.
So the statement comes out. It's a very lengthy text post on Instagram. And then it was immediately flooded with, all types of people. She didn't name you in it. Was there any sort of lag in like the posts happening and then people finding you?
There wasn't much of a lag because, while she didn't officially name me, there was enough information to deduce that this was about a transgender comedian with a degree from Texas Christian University who has auditioned for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And if you can believe it, I think I'm the only one
Yeah.
so far who fits that description. And so it was very, very, very quickly deduced that it was about me. And then my comment section just became kind of like a battleground, and people commenting, asking if I know what consent is, a lot of the grape emoji. And then attacks on my personal appearance and stuff, which is whatever. But and then of course death threats and people saying some kind of more humorous, being like we ride at dawn, but then other ones kind of a little bit more genuine and sinister, and some scary DMs and stuff. It was freaky.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction when you first saw the post?
I think just, oh no, like I think it's just it's happening.
Because you'd been preparing for it in a way.
Yeah, I think that in a way I'd been preparing for it for like 10 years. I recently, through my therapist, learned the term anticipatory anxiety, which is like, oh, that's what I've been dreading this period of my life, actually, that we're now in for like my entire adult life. And so it's like what happens when your kind of worst nightmare comes true.
So in about like the 6-ish weeks following that, you were kicked off of your 2 improv/sketch teams. And kicked off some shows that were supposed to come up too. And then you posted your 10-minute video explaining your side of the story, basically rehashing everything, bringing up some of the evidence, the screenshots, in a really like exhaustive way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. How long did it take you to like prepare your statement and your video?
In a way, a decade, but it's I guess that is actually a little bit more genuine than I thought as I first said it. Because it is something that I want to be thoughtful about, and I want to like make sure that it's clear. I took stock of the situation and the severity of it and everything. I was very grateful to receive some legal guidance from an incredible law firm that offered some pro bono support, because they were kind of like impassioned by the story, and so I had some like help in terms of just like making sure my bases are covered and everything, and because I want to advocate for myself, but I also don't want to put myself in like a bad situation, which is like a fear always. But like a week.
When this was all going down, what was the initial reaction from your friends and your people and your team? And then did it kind of shift towards people not believing you anymore? Did people believe you initially, or how did that work?
Yeah. So, I think like a good amount of people like kind of quiet quit me, unfollowed, whatever, did all that stuff. My immediate people were really great, and I think I made a mistake that I made back in college again, which is that like I allowed myself to be my worst self in front of my best people, and so I lost some like really nice, meaningful connections with people who were like kind of on the front lines advocating for me last year. So that's something I kind of regret. But it's just like hard, to like be sort of, and this is a term that's been co-opted by like libertarians, but stoic, and, keeping a level head, while also giving yourself like the space somewhere. But it shouldn't be kind of in the way of other people's, happiness or whatever. So that's like,
what were the ways that you think you didn't show up as your best self?
I mean, I think I was just like super irritable just in general. And I think like you end up like talking about like negative stuff like all the time. Just kind of like not, you're kind of like frozen in time a little bit, like, cause you're just like in this defense mode all the time. Yeah.
Okay. How did it feel being kicked off teams?
It was scary, yeah, because it felt, and I think like Project 2025 contributed to this, but it felt like do or die. Like it was like it's gonna happen for me now or never, and it felt like all these shows and teams and stuff like they had the opportunity to sort of like let signal to the community that it's okay to have me on your show, it's okay to like love me still or whatever, and that ultimately we've like engaged with this thing and we understand it. I don't know, it felt also like a big statement, like getting kicked off all those shows. It almost feels like a confirmation of guilt,
Yeah.
in the eyes of the public. And so it was just like I think I was it felt like I was like drowning and I was just flailing and mistaking great people for, flotation devices.
Hmm. What do you mean by Project 2025?
Well, I think like some like conservative lawmakers saying things like, we need to eradicate transgender people from public life by the end of 2025. I think at my craziest, I've been like, I think I'm like the middle America's like trans best friend in waiting. You know what I mean? Like I like, and I'm like maybe if like I was given the opportunity, like maybe I don't know. Sorry, I lost my train of
No,
thought.
it's okay.
Yeah.
If I'm just making sure I understand, like you kind of felt like at the time when you were kicked off the teams, it felt like maybe because they didn't want the liability of having a transgender person with allegations.
Oh, I don't think that it had anything to do with like my transness. I don't think. I think it's all to do with the allegations, which I do understand. And it's like another thing that is just challenging is like engaging with people and remembering that, oh, this is day one of this person knowing about the situation, and it's year 11 of me knowing about the situation, And so like
Yeah.
it's something I have to remind myself to, just like bring levity to the whole thing and remember that these people just found out about this thing.
Yeah.
So it's like we're just at a very different place.
Yeah. And that was probably not insight that you had at the time. Because at
Yeah.
the time when this was going on, I imagine it felt really lonely and feeling frustrated with like your friends and saying like, how could you not immediately defend me? You should know this, when it's like, well, you've had 11 years to process this. They're
Yeah.
all getting this information at the same time. If you could go back in time and tell Jess at the time to give people grace, is that something you would have done?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would have encouraged myself, and I think I was already being encouraged to do this, but I would just try to get offline.
Yeah.
And it's hard because like so much of the kind of battle was being hashed out online. But yeah, like I spent 2 months back in my hometown, like a small town in Texas, at the beginning of this year, and it's the most grounded I've felt in recent years, and certainly the most grounded I've felt since all of this happened last year. And yeah, I got really scared and conspiratorial. I had someone in my corner who was kind of was well-meaning but was spreading some misinformation to me about like just really intense things, like saying that these people were connected to the KKK and that the new Aryan Nation was gonna kill me and my partner and our dog and all this stuff. Like I started getting fed this like kind of extreme imagery, and so I kind of like lost touch with reality a little bit. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for any and all grace that was given to me for the way that I was behaving during that time. Because yeah, it really did just feel like I was being like written out of the narrative of my own life. Yeah.
You were feeling really out of control.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like the narrative you couldn't control, and then you had this person in your ear telling you these crazy things.
Yeah.
And then you were kind of acting on that heightened sense of like danger.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I like thought that like I was gonna get like shot by a stranger. I was like moving through life literally thinking that I was like public enemy number one. And now I go through life and just I focus a little bit more on like what I know to be true, and I'm a lot less worried about strangers murdering me.
Yeah. So with the 10-minute video, and then, you spent about 6 weeks defending yourself through various stories and with the video and Instagrams and screenshots and the text messages. So to what extent is like the public owed all of this like really intimate information? Because you weren't on trial.
Right.
Like there were no, technically speaking, stakes. Like no one was asking for this, but you posted so much and you divulged a lot of like personal information and text messages. Like who wants to read their own text backs at 19,
Right.
let alone post them on Instagram to 15,000 people?
Yeah, it felt like my hand was being forced, and it felt sort of like, if you want to continue pursuing this career, here's what we require of you. Like we need you to bare your soul. We need, like, I released a statement at first that covered everything, but was kind of deemed in the public eye, not sufficient. And so, then there was a counter video, and then I had to release my video. And so, sorry.
Do you think that it helped anything, posting the screenshots and posting
Oh,
all of
yeah,
these
I think
texts?
so. Yeah, there were a lot of people who had previously come to me in the comments, like telling me to kill myself and stuff, who were saying like, "Hey, I watched your whole video and I'm so sorry. Like, I mapped my own situation from college onto this one, and wasn't thinking critically about it." And so I've like seen people literally convert from the video, so I do think that it helped illuminate some context. And there were some shows that had been canceled or postponed that people reached back out being like, "Hey, we are comfortable having you actually after all." And I feel like the damage was kind of done, so I pretty much didn't do shows. Not pretty much. I did not do shows for the remainder of the year, and have only done a handful this year. Sort of because I'm like resting, and also because people just aren't asking me to do shows. But yeah, I think that it was helpful. Yeah, and yeah, it is definitely, at least like now, it's like been discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bared your soul, and there was benefit from it, because
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to do that, but like the public is the jury and the judge, and you're in a career where online opinions matter. Cancel culture is so interesting because it's all online. If you think about it, nothing's real.
Right.
It's just keystrokes.
Yeah.
And a fucking like pixel cyberspace, but it does have real impact. You lost a lot.
Yeah.
When you look back, were there people that publicly supported you that you were surprised about?
Oh, good question. Yeah. I mean, there were like some comedians with like large followings who advocated for me pretty fiercely. I really appreciated John Marco Ceresi and Charlene Kay. Like there's the specific story of me, but then there's also like how easily the public kind of just like went with it. You know what I mean? I think it showed people how easily people can turn on someone, you know? Yeah, so I don't know. It's just, it's freaky. But like those are two people that I was very like grateful to for some support. Yeah.
Were there people that supported you privately but said that they wouldn't publicly?
Yeah. There were some people, some people who work at cool comedy theaters and organizations and stuff, who basically, were just like, "Hey, you gotta understand, like I can't, be your friend publicly, but love you. See ya when you're,
not canceled."
Yeah, uncanceled or whatever. Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Pretty terrible. Yeah, I do get it. But it is just like, well, what do you do? What do you do here?
Yeah. How has this experience changed like your relationship to the comedy scene?
I level with people. I think it's like an impossible situation. That's why it's such a bummer. And I don't think I can ever fault like a good faith supporter, of my accuser. I think once you have the context, it's just like impossible to say that it's not at the very least something in a gray area.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. Yeah.
You've mentioned wishing that you could go back and give people a little bit more grace and not react so harshly. With your social media and with your relationships, is there anything else that you wish you handled differently?
Yeah. I guess I wish I wouldn't have engaged with the amount of involvement that my transness had with the whole thing. Because obviously, like, a lot of the like hateful attacks like involved like my transness and stuff, and while I do think that like my being a closeted trans woman was like a known thing and it being like sort of at play, the idea that everyone was kind of like complicit in a hate crime who like kicked me off a show and stuff like that, like that was dramatic. That was like that is not true. So yeah, I wish I could go back and just be like less dramatic, even though it felt like the most dramatic time of my life. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I wish I could have gone back and like really told myself like, hey, it'll be fine. I think everyone was in like an impossible situation.
Yeah.
And so I guess I just understand. And I guess I wish I could go back and tell myself like, hey, life is long actually, and you're not gonna like die if you don't figure your career out by the end of 2025. Like things will keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we've talked, you've mentioned that you're in a good place with everyone. But you've also mentioned still feeling a little bit of an outsider. How does that feel in the comedy world? You had all of these friends and all of this relationship, and then now it's like everything's cool now, but it's cool with like a little asterisk.
Right, totally. Yeah. The vibe's definitely different. It definitely feels like the vibe will never be exactly the same ever again. And that just happens in life, I think. Like we go through different phases, whatever. Yeah, I definitely still have a lot of admiration for the comedy community. I think there's some incredibly brilliant voices in the Brooklyn scene and all over New York. But yeah, I'm not hitting up open mics and stuff. I'm not really, I don't know, grinding as hard on that front right now.
Yeah. Is comedy still the dream?
Well, like SNL was probably the first like real dream I ever had as a little kid watching like Will Ferrell. But acting just in general, yeah, is really what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I went to school for, and yeah, I've had some exciting opportunities. I've acted in some shorts and stuff, and yeah, so that's really the dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in a way, maybe this chokehold that comedy had on you, multiple shows a week, maybe it's not so bad of a thing to give yourself a little more time to do what you really care about.
Yeah, I can take Buddy to the dog park a little more often, which has been nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and do some more auditions.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of out of questions a little bit.
Wow.
I think we covered a lot.
I think we did, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your vulnerability, and it really means a lot that you trusted me with it.
Thank you so much for giving me the time. Yeah.
What was like your biggest takeaway from this?
You can't let your worst trauma define you, and hold close to the people who give you love, and just stay afloat. Yeah.
Keep going. I know it was really hard on you, and it's very impressive to me that you're out on the other side and able to talk about it. So I'm glad you're with us.
Hey, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. Okay, take a deep breath. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everyone for listening. Jess, you'll have to come back in another capacity so we can
I'd love to. Yeah, Gab.
So we can actually be gals, be gals about town. Jess's special is on YouTube. Less of a Man. It is so good. It's so funny.
Thank you.
I loved it. We were robbed of your JFL performance, unfortunately, but
oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think that's just another opportunity to perform that somewhere else.
Release the Elgene cut. JFL.
Release the Elgene tapes. Just thank you so much.
Thank you so much.